All right, fresh best of 3, the first semifinals of this Open European Weekly. In the bottom left, we have Liquid Clem. In the top right, it is Storm Gaming's MaxPax. Again, Storm Gaming picking up players at really opportune times. They picked him up, I think, after there was already a little bit of the fame. You know, we knew about the MaxPax, we knew that he was a good player, but I do believe that they picked him up before his real surge up into dependably top 8 of Europe, basically. Sometimes top 4. So they picked him up when he was still, basically had a lot of weaknesses. So he was a very good player when it came to punching up for a long time because of his odd play style and his, I think, basically abuse in the best sense of the term of Protoss. But if you really got down to it, his macro wasn't as good, his micro wasn't as good, his strategies weren't as good as they might appear, and so on and so forth. But he really tightened things up, and I think a lot of that happened after he was picked up on Psystorm. So, Psystorm just has a history of being a pretty good, just kind of close-knit North American team, right? You know, not maybe too much, what's the word I'm looking for, like, bedazzling, I guess. Like, you know, they're a solid team. They don't just try and throw parties and lavish parties and throw money around every which way. They want to support the players they want to support because they really like StarCraft. And then the occasional pickup that is initially a very solid pick, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's really cool. And then boom, suddenly they pop off. So MaxPax kind of one of those. Gumiho is definitely one of the best examples because they picked him up before he was destined for GSL victory. Like literally a season, maybe 2 before he actually won GSL. Years ago, by the way. Anywho, just talk about the teams. Don't need to really talk too much about Team Liquid, since everyone knows a lot about them. So TvP between these two has not gone particularly well for Clem the last couple of times. I think, actually, literally the last 2 times he lost against MaxPax. Go ahead and double check that. The most recent time he lost against MaxPax was one of the most one-sided series that I've seen with Clem involved, where he was the one that it was one-sided against. You know, like, I guess I've seen Clem 2-0 and bop some other players with his micro. You know, game 1 with him versus Kelzer was kind of the example there. But him getting bopped? Not usually. A very disappointing performance. Clearly he wasn't in the mood for StarCraft type of situation. That happens. He gets O2'd in some decently mid-game, late-game TVZs. Yeah, okay. But he got early game bopped proper from MaxPax last time. It was kind of crazy. The first game was a execution bop, I want to say, and then the second game was a bit of a build order bop, but nonetheless. So I think if that's weighing on Clem's mind, he could be going into this kind of in the wrong headspace. Hopefully it is not. That was just last week, the most recent get-together. Before that, there was a best of 1 that Clem lost. And before that, that was actually the lower bracket best of 5 they played in DreamHack Europe, which Clem did win, so he got revenge, actually, from the group stage, I believe. So it's still back and forth ultimately, just, yeah, last time they played was very, very unfortunate for Clem. Now this time around, Clem has already gotten a couple of nice things, a probe and adept, for Reaper and a Hellion, it's okay, I guess. But also got some scouting, so that's really critical since MaxPax seems to have once again decided the 4-gate is the way to go. He stopped this for a little while, and I actually preferred that, but then he kind of just was like, you know what, it's working, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Sorry, I had to talk to my mom. But anyways, so, yeah, 4 gates on the way. Clem knows about it? Yes, 100% knows about it. Fact. No, oh, I saw 3 gateways, I don't know if there's a 4th. Even if he did, I think the assumption, again, is nowadays, MaxPax is back to doing 4-gate after 4-gate, 4-gate DT rush, 4-gate, 4-gate DT rush. So, Clem is going to try to prepare. Now, MaxPax is a better player than he was 6 months ago. whenever he was doing 2 or 3 build orders, and that was really it. But I still think, you know, if you were to go back to that, I'd still say it was overall a net negative. But it's all hypothetical anyways, and I could be very wrong. The thing is, MaxPax, I think, really believes that this is an opener. And he can make it an opener. Not an all-in, not something that needs to do damage, but rather something that is guaranteed to do enough damage / can be worked out of if it doesn't. If he does damage, I think that's a fair enough argument. Oh no, the tank is firing on the buildable plates! Oh! Unbeatable, actually. That's the whole point of them are unbuildable. But that is so not useful. And what sucks is that Clem might have been going off of the audio instead of the visual because he was distracted by the main base. He might have heard a tank firing away in siege mode and assumed it was firing correctly. That was a waste of shots, and MaxPax, I think, actually was the one to visually note it, so he continued playing around in the natural. So abusive. This guy definitely does a 4-gate well. If he does damage, it's all fair game, like I said. There are times, however, that this becomes too obvious and players start to beat it back, no problem, no sweat. And the follow-up is challenging if that happens. But this is one of those cases where I believe MaxPax has done enough damage to warrant doing the entire build. He is starting to lose that a little bit more here. A lot of the stalkers were weak from earlier, so 12 stalkers, I think like majority of them went down kind of in 10-second span. But MaxPax got a 3rd base up, charges on the way. He's got not a decent amount of workers actually in this matchup, but since he's still getting SCVs pulled, that's still pretty good. More SCVs are going to go down as well. War Prism still alive means that there's always that threat for the future 4-stalker hit squad or charge zealot bombs. There's been a couple of trades on the actual army as well, so that's another thing that can happen with a 4-gate. You know, they kill a bunch of SCVs, feel really good about themselves, but then there's a gigantic Terran army. Not the situation here. MaxPax doesn't have a GG moment here. He's not going to just win. We're not just like laughing at Clem as he tries to struggle through this game. But I do believe that MaxPax has done enough to give himself a head start as we head into more of the mid-game. And now that medevacs are out, bio is plentiful, and we still have even a couple of tanks to help safeguard against these cheeky little 4-stalker drops. I do believe this is going to be stabilization time. You know, everyone just chill. Just take a second. But that's still seconds that MaxPax is using to make up for whatever he did lack doing the 4-gate blink. So that is usually upgrades and technology. So MaxPax is going up to just 4 gases. Yep, didn't take the other one in his natural. So it's going to be heavy emphasis on the gateway count. Still 4 gases, not 2 or 3. Insanely low. So it could still replace a decent number of the stalkers that he lost. Total of 19 stalkers lost is quite a lot. It is. But I still, again, think MaxPax got enough from it. 20 worker lead just about now. Going to be equal on upgrades. Clem looks like his combat shields was delayed for one reason or another. Only just now going to have that perfect bio army. And MaxPax has to take it seriously. He cannot just, again, say, okay, I'm winning, why are you in this game? He's got to take this seriously, but he's usually pretty good at that. I'd say MaxPax, he fumbles big in games, but is really good at bringing them back. So in this case, he's a little ahead. Oh, just lost the War Prism, that sucks. A bit too on the nose. I was very prepared for that drop in. But yeah, MaxPax, I would say, still has a flaw. Where I feel like when I watch his PvTs, he'll take a big loss, recover through just some great strategic movements, and then maybe still win out. So that's what I'm a little worried about here. And well, actually with the SCV pool, that makes a lot of sense. This would be the one punch that is trying to take MaxPax down, MaxPax already having some Archons is absolutely huge in this situation, however. Any amount of splash is spectacular, trying to catch the tanks unsieged. Guardian Shield does not last particularly long. I don't think that was the fight that MaxPax was actually looking for. Away from a shield battery is always a bit dangerous, and now going in again, that's definitely not going to work out. Don't know what he was thinking there. Definitely needs more Zealots. He's going to have to give up his natural base. This is all in from Clem. So some sacrifices had to be made. This was not going to be an easy stop for MaxPax. And now he's going up against his own ramp. Now he's going to jump on top of a couple of these tanks, take them out, but only after they have obliterated most of the Protoss army. And there you go. SCV pool, really well thought out strategy against what he was up against. Maybe not even that thought out, actually. It might just be a default response. But the point is, it's a good strategy against that. I think MaxPax misplayed the defense. I think he had an opportunity to defend. I think he needed to get those tanks sieged, stop them for a little while, a couple more times. So he didn't really get to abuse that ramp that Clem moved through. No force field came down to stop him from entering there, which was a really big mistake. I don't know if he just didn't have sentries and realized a little bit too late that was possible, or, you know, one of those things. And then when he did decide to take the engagement, I think that was an engagement where you actually don't take it, you threaten it, and then you pull back, and then the Terran does start to head into your natural. It's still it's not clean. None of this is perfect defense, so easy. Why didn't MaxPax do that? I'm not being that critical. Definitely not an easy defense. But I do think those were the hindsight 2020 moments that would have given MaxPax a really good chance, since he did have a good economy, lots of gateways, and had Archon technology. But, yeah, basically not enough time buying. Not enough time buying, and certainly not a big enough army to actually take the engagement when it was forced upon him. So, again, to game 2, bottom right, MaxPax, top left, Clem. If MaxPax hadn't lost then and there, if it wasn't an SCV pool, and instead it was like a similar situation, but Clem was going into a third CC, there wasn't a real opportunity to cut the head off the snake. MaxPax kind of found it in himself to actually push back a majority bio army with a couple of zealots from the backside. But he lost a good chunk of his army, and he lost 20 probes. That's what I was trying to talk about. That is a situation that I think MaxPax then goes into basically Super Saiyan mode and recovers. But because it was an SCV pool, because it really was all or nothing, MaxPax couldn't do any of those brilliant maneuvers that he does when it's a longer game that has a little bit more flexibility, right? The whole, like, okay, you're still macroing at home, I have these certain number of units, and I'm going to use them to the best of my ability. It was much more of like, now kiff. Now kill each other. So MaxPax couldn't really be, you know, fancy. It's kind of just like, you have it or not. Okay. So that's the nice thing about Clem going for that SCV pool on top of having that type of army. That would do well in the counterattack if it had a little bit of buffer. And MaxPax should basically always be wary of that. So I don't think he was surprised by it. I think he was just hoping probably the War Prism did a little bit more. Literally just as far as time buying goes. And then didn't quite get mentally all his ducks in a row to then physically do it. So that kind of sucks, because again, overall, I think MaxPax had enough room to set up a proper defense. He had minutes, plural, of which he was the one keeping Clem on the back foot. But not able to take that time and line everything up so perfectly that he just had an overwhelming army. So we move on to Moon Dance, where this could happen again. It could. MaxPax could go for a 4-gate again because he has been liking it so much, and then do a decent amount of damage, but not really game-ending. And then Clem goes, okay, that was a bit tough, I'm just going to SCV pull you. Because we're on a map that's quite short, so it'd be even better than last game? Yeah. Thank you, Pearl Bailey, for the gifted sub. overall, that was one of the weaknesses of 4-gate Will. Right. That was the... Okay, if they don't do enough damage, the counterattack of bio, upgraded bio, and tanks is going to be really scary. So if MaxPax wants to do a 4-gate again, then I'm going to just be really critical. Because I was critical when he first was doing this all the time, and if he does it all the time again, I'm going to be critical again. I really believe that MaxPax is he's got an intelligent, wrinkly brain, and that he sees something. He's looking into the future. He's got the Infinity Stone. Wait, no. Time Zone. It's Time Stone. There we go. And one day, he might figure it out, but it's really hard. And I guess as long as he's doing it in the open cups, it doesn't really matter, but... He has also been reverting to 4 gates and DT rushes in offline play, or not offline, he doesn't go to offline, in regional play as well. It's not a 4-gate though, so back it up a little bit. Can't be too critical. It's a 3-gate, of which MaxPax looks to be dedicating a decent amount to it, since he is not going for a very fast 3rd Nexus. Let's see if he also warps in. Holding my breath. 1 second here. There we go. Yeah, so he does warp in as well. So that is a delayed 3rd Nexus. Actually, he held off so long that he ended up having 700 minerals. It's warp in 3 stalkers and a Nexus. But the point is, not a 2-gate expand timing, right? So you do want some damage from this. But if you literally stop producing stalkers right now, it's really not that big of an investment. When the 3 gates is made, the question is how much do you make from those 3 gates? So the 4-gate is 100%. I'm going to make a lot of units and try and do a lot of damage. The 2-gate is I'm going to make probably as few units as possible to actually do something. And the 3-gate's right in between. Could do a lot with it. Could go ahead and just go another direction. Technology, expansions, whatever. And it can also be sometimes defensive, for sure. Someone thinks they're going to get hit early on and needs that extra stalker warp in. In this case, I do think that MaxPax was looking for control over the game. Maybe a little bit of a heart attack for Clem, as he once again is like, oh shit, a 4-gate. And now, pretty much within seconds, I think, of the actual execution of the Warp Prism in the main, they both understand the situation. Clem's like, oh, okay, it wasn't a 4-gate, it's a 3-gate. Which he actually was able to see. Again, literally see, so. Alright then. You definitely have a 3rd Nexus, and you probably are teching up. What exactly MaxPax's teching up to, that still remains a bit shrouded. Clem doesn't technically know. Just scan and observer. But it's really not too uncommon to see a Storm follow up pretty quickly, and I think MaxPax in particular has been playing around with this a lot, so that actually Clem might be totally just expecting it. I don't know if I really like this from MaxPax, or rather, I think it's a fine follow-up 9 times out of 10, but if your opponent knows that it's likely, and you're on a map where you can take a 3rd base in the back, I actually don't think I like this from MaxPax. So I think High Templar, Fast Storm afterwards is really great in 2 ways. One, defensively, when the Terran is running across the map and you can kind of storm them as they come, and they're like, okay, I give up. I'm not going to try and push you without ghosts. And offensively, as in, you're going to try and take a 3rd base, your army's going to be out in the open, I'm going to go ahead and try and push you and again, surprise you with Storm. Both of those kind of depend on being stormed. I'm being surprised, sorry. I'm being surprised and then stormed. But the defensive one... I don't know. It's, it might not be a real issue since MaxPax isn't really he's moving on. Yeah, aggressively, I don't think you can do something against a Turtle Terran on 3 bases, but their choke is in their natural to protect all 3. Yeah, I don't think even without Ghost, I don't think the Storm's could have done enough. So we're losing that type of aggression. Defensively, it could still go okay. It could. But I think it's really proper for MaxPax to move on, to not just depend on Storm, because it can be Ooh, a little hit or miss, especially if the tanks are actually getting the shots off. Now, they do not hear the Warp Prism was kind of allowed to go through the middle of the fight and far back into it as the bio was preemptively splitting, kind of leaving the tanks a bit unguarded. It was almost like a football play. I feel like if I need to have like a marker and rewatch the clip and then have a bunch of X's and O's and arrows. But that ended up working okay enough for MaxPax. The bio split like the Red Sea, and then the tanks got destroyed / very inefficient hits, and they don't shoot up, obviously. So the Warp Prism can go right through the middle and then still end up catching the army that is running away. Because if it was MaxPax just going like, here's where I'm going to land my storms, here's where I'm going to land my High Templars, they might have gotten bodied by tanks. But he waited, he picked them up again, and then put them farther into the field. Anyway, so that's pretty important, because MaxPax needed some decent storms to cover the time of which he was very much dependent on them. Now, we got Colossus, we got 4-base economy, so a lot of Warp Gate units are coming in, we got a couple of upgrades I think having finished during that time as well. And actually, with this brief moment, Clem not paying attention, MaxPax is definitely in the winning position. And actually, Clem's gonna give up. GG. Doesn't want to play out the late game where he is behind. His 4th was on the way. Ghosts were on the way. He was about 15 supply behind, but that's not terrible. He could have played it out, but did not want to. I hear all these sounds, and I realize that it's, I guess, kids starting to do trick-or-treating. So all of our motion-activated stuff is going off. Game number 3, Tropical Sacrifice. Top right, MaxPax. Bottom left, Clem. Really, really crucial how that engagement played out. It would have been cool to do a little bit of a breakdown of that engagement. Because there's a lot of ways it could have gone. Infinity number of ways. Marines over there, Marauders over there, tank shooting this way, tank shooting that way, High Templars dropped, High Templars not dropped. But I think there are 2 extremes that could happen. One extreme is what we saw, where the storms were really effective, not just as storms, but as space providers. They pushed the bio away so the tanks could be jumped upon. And that's great for MaxPax and went that way. But then the other extreme would have been MaxPax collapsing on the army as the tanks are already sieged, with nothing but all of his army packed together through one angle, through one choke, into tank fire and bio. Which would have been really, really terrible on the side of MaxPax. I don't think it actually... it's never supposed to go that badly, but I guess it is possible. If he was so much more focused on getting a storm down, that might have been the case. So he, emphasizes getting a storm out of the Warp Prism, and then the tanks fire it down. He goes, oh shit. But yeah, it's probably not going to happen that way, just because MaxPax is pretty good with that composition. It still could have gone worse. Still could have been a situation where the bio doesn't have to split as much. The Warp Prism has to be still very cautious of getting shot down. And the tanks are able to get as many shots as possible. Maybe not on the High Templars themselves, which are being ferried correctly by the Warp Prism, but at least on a lot more of the army than what happened. Now, game 3, what am I expecting here? Since we do have a Stargate opener from MaxPax, you can kind of take away any possible DT opener. So I'm thinking... I'm actually not sure what I'm thinking. MaxPax was doing Stargates for a little while after his nothing but 4-gate DT phase. And before his recent nothing but 4-gate DT phase. So this is the in-between that I don't quite remember what he was fond of. Did he do a lot of Phoenix charge? Honestly, don't recall. See ya, Proto-Billy. Clem did open up with a, looks to be a factory expand. 2 Reapers win the battle against the single Adept, and now this Sister Adept is in a bit of trouble. She's gonna get the Hellion, but she's not gonna kill this Reaper. The regen's already kicked in too much. So another Adept dies, and this Adept is gonna have to shade past, and thus not be able to chase, so the Scouts will be successful into the main, as well as probably 3 probes? No, Oracle pops, so just 2. But you also scouted the Oracle, so there you go. So with an Oracle opener, could go Twilight Council, could go into the Phoenix. All right, goes into a Phoenix. So we're gonna get some Phoenix charge, I'm guessing. I actually think MaxPax was doing Phoenix Colossus. I don't want to say it because I don't think it's his best playstyle, but I think he was. Anywho. Wouldn't mind safeguards the SCVs. There is nothing in the main that I can see. No. So that would have been open, but Cyclone and Viking would have popped out. Would have been a little sketch of MaxPax to dive on in, and now certainly very bad idea if he tries to dive. Even with a Phoenix with him, if it was just a Cyclone, just a Viking, yes. Both combined, no. Oh, Would have mind got the Adept, I think. Yes, it did. It's just gonna use the Oracle to take that out. Fair enough. Alright, Twilight Council is on the way, so it is gonna be Phoenix Charge. Okay. Cool, cool. And Clem seeing 1 Phoenix with an Oracle. Could probably assume it's going to be more Phoenix. Maybe we would want to get that second Phoenix confirmed. There you have it. So, probably going to be Phoenix X. And now you need to decide, you need to figure out what it is. Phoenix Colossus, Phoenix Charge. Nothing being told to Clem right now, technically. You could guess it's Phoenix Charge. That seems like something that MaxPax would do more so than Phoenix Colossus. And he'd be right. Maybe I'm thinking of MaxPax on Moondance. I think Moondance. A lot of Protoss go Phoenix Colossus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, he might be assuming it's Phoenix Charge. Which again, he'd be very right. So hopefully he is. If he is assuming that, this probably would be his last tank. 2 tanks and then swap over. I'm already kind of worried about the second tank though, to be honest. I already don't think I like it. Very early move out, though. Stim finishes up. No other upgrades done yet. And charge will be done by the time Clem actually hits something important. But the number of charge lots is what's going to be in question. The growing pains. Part of the game is very painful for Protoss. But it looks like, even with that 1 siege up to the north, that was enough time. And we even have a little bit of a pinch. A little bit, with 2 Zealots trying to come in and help out. Clem decides to go ahead and take some of an engagement. Sieges up to 1 tank, gets it killed. And the second tank is probably better off just in regular DPS mode. There wasn't really much chase that MaxPax could do, considering that his numbers really weren't all that high. Phoenix Charge, spectacular at chasing as a composition, but you do still need that overwhelming, or at least intimidating number of Zealots to really effectively do so. And Clem at the high ground and more reinforcements and defender's advantage, yeah, it was pretty clear who was going to win that one. So now the question more so is, does MaxPax try to go not all in with the charge, but just go for a lot of charge lots and then contain Clem? Or does he move on with his life, go into a 4th base, add on Robotics Bay, and get to Colossus? And it is going to be that latter option, which, by the way, I think is the better option. I think that is what every Protoss would be doing in the situation, but just throwing it out there. If you really need to be hyper-aggressive, you could try and do some type of contain. You just definitely wouldn't be able to bust, I think, a 2-base Terran. So it's like, why would you do it? Best to try and take advantage of the time given to you to go into the additional technology. But this is a very common response to seeing nothing but gateway units. No splash available for MaxPax leaves him vulnerable to another SCV pool. Even though he had 2 Archons in the first game, it still wasn't enough splash because they hardly constitute it, but still very helpful against SCV pools. This game, no Colossus, no Archons, but he does have the force fields ready to buy time, which I think was missing in the first game. Plenty of shield batteries coming down as well. He canceled his 4th base, realizing what it was very quickly. Zealots are in the natural, further all-inning this. So all the SCVs that weren't pulled are dead anyways. And now the, big problem is that natural is open. MaxPax forced to take the engagement, basically. I don't know if this is actually one that he wanted to take. However, he tried to drag the Widow Mines on top of a lot of Marines. Did not work out whatsoever. Now more of the army coming in from the backside. More reinforcements as well. Shield battery overcharge too. But the timing of everything was so awkward there. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Armies are even, upgrades are even, but Clem has lost all of that SCV buffer, and he hasn't actually dug into the production or economy of his opponent. He's going to take down the Robo. That's something, but there's still a lot more charge lots. Could be building up in the natural, could be building up in the main base, something like that. Force field's also going to be a problem, though not in this case, actually creating more of a choke than anything else. So almost benefiting Clem there. But time is not on the Terran side. MaxPax still has his bases mining, still has his production running, and Clem is straight up just out of economy. He's out of juice. He's rattling across a very vast distance, natural to 3rd base, and there's only so much micro that you can do. At this point, it would not be wrong of MaxPax to start warping in Stalkers. Then he could take down the Marauders individually, start taking on some of these medevacs. And just the icing on the cake there was a Widow Mine splashing back on Clem. GG, this time around, MaxPax is going to hold against the SCV pool and move on to the finals.